Well, if you're a busy mom struggling to find balance in your life, you certainly are not alone. A 2014 Clinton Foundation survey of more than 1,000 American mothers showed that 67% at least were somewhat stressed and 14% were very stressed. This is no surprise to me. Here to share some simple ways for reducing stress is Dr. Leonaura Rhodes, a health and happiness coach, also the author of Beyond Soccer Mom, Strategies for a Fabulous Balanced Life. Doctor, is that a possibility? A fabulous balanced life?
Well, it's always a work in progress. I think no one ever kind of wakes up one day and thinks, wow, I've got a fabulous balanced life now.
Yeah.
So it's more about the process of recognizing that you deserve to be living a fabulous balanced life even when you're a mother, because I think it's very easy to neglect yourself when you're a mother, and there's so many demands on your time and energy and attention, but it's really important to look after yourself.
Sure. So you have two children.
I do.
They're teenagers now. What was it like when they were babies? Was it a stressful time for you?
It was really stressful for me. My boys really challenged me when they were babies. They were both really sick and both of them nearly died.
Oh.
And it was, as you can imagine, extremely stressful time. And I got into this cycle of really bad self-neglect. I did everything for them and a little bit for my husband, but I literally had no time for myself. And I kind of woke up one day and realized that I was disappearing. And my body wasn't disappearing, my body was getting fatter and fatter because I was comfort eating. And I was really miserable, and depression had really started to set in. And I had this it was actually a book that changed my perspective. I read a book called The Art of Happiness by the Dalai Lama, and I realized I needed to do something about the way I was living my life because it really wasn't healthy.
So you have some tips on how to de-stress. Where do we start?
Well, the first place to start is to accept that stress is a part of everyday life. When we use the word stress, first, to kind of explain that, it's really a normal reaction to events that occur every day. But the kind of stress that we're talking about is the negative kind of stress. When stress has been there for a long time, or our behavior starts to get kind of, out of sorts because of the stressful events that are going on. Because a little bit of stress is actually good for you. It's what kind of wakes you up.
Kind of motivates you and keeps you going, sure.
And people who have no stress at all, they kind of tend to go the other way. They kind of can't motivate themselves. It's hard to get up in the morning. And so a little bit of stress is a good thing. So step one is to acknowledge that you have stress and to identify the sources of stress.
Okay.
To take a really close look at those sources of stress and say, is there something I can do about these sources of stress? Some sources of stress you're actually holding on to and with inaction. The lady before talked about procrastination.
Sure.
Sometimes, for example, I've worked with a lot of people who have a health problem that they're ignoring, and it's waking them up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day, when what they should do is pick up the phone, call the doctor, and get it seen to, because whatever happens, it's better to deal with it.
And that's your second step here. Take care of yourself.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So the second step, because stress happens in the brain and particularly the nervous system. I'm a real neuroscience geek, so I always manage to sneak the brain into my conversation.
Makes sense.
Yeah. To have a healthy body and brain is essential, because that's where stress happens. And people who have a healthy body and brain react less to stress. And so I talk about balancing your health liabilities, the things that are bad for your health, and your health assets, the things that are good for your health.
Sure.
And that's the way to look at it, rather than getting very overwhelmed, to kind of say, okay, is there anything I can do today to reduce the bad things, and anything I can do today to be more healthy?
Sure. And then the last step here is reduce the impact of the stress. You know where it's coming from, you know how to control it.
Yes.
And just be mindful of all this.
Yes, absolutely. And what I urge people to do is, when they're not stressed, is to develop a stress management toolkit. And I call it a toolkit because you need more than one thing in your toolkit. And I've worked with a lot of women who only have one thing, and it's often exercise. And that's great. Exercise is probably one of the best stress management tools. But if for some reason you have a period of time where you can't exercise, then you're in trouble.
And it all builds up, right?
Totally. I worked with a woman who she used to kickbox for 3 hours a day, and then her son got sick and she was traveling, and she had months where she couldn't do it, and she came in with, she had adrenal fatigue, so her body had just totally shut down because that's all she had.
So you have to find a way out of your stress.
Exactly. So we kind of explored some other ways, and she started meditating, and that was her, that saved her.
There you go.
Yeah.
Doctor, where can we find your book and some more information?
Yes, so my book is available online. I have a website, beyondsoccermom.com, where you can get the book, or it's available at all good bookstores.
Very good. Thank you so much for the advice.
Thank
I'll
you.
put it to good use.
Good do. Yeah.
Right, we'll send things over to you.